Hey guys, Kristian here with another tutorial. Now this is going to be a bit different from my other series, which is Scratch to Processing, which teaches from scratch to a programming language. This is going to be just Scratch, so I'm going to be teaching some basics in Scratch and some games and stuff. Now I haven't posted a video in a while, but yes, let's get into this. I'm doing this for my Scratch class at my co-op. Just to help out, and we're going to go through some things. This will be the first video. And yeah, so what we're going to do today in this video is game dissection, because when you make a game, you need to know what pieces you need to use in order to create that game. And in order to do that, we're going to look at some other games and figure out how to dissect those games so we can kind of build this base and this kind of mindset of how to put together our own games. So we're going to start off with the most simple game, which is Pong. I have it right over here, so I'm just going to, everybody knows Pong, but I'm just going to demonstrate it. Okay, so we're going to use the mouse, and we're going to do beginner. Okay, so the ball comes out, and we use our mouse up and down. I'm controlling the one that just lost. And you get the idea. There's a computer, the ball bounces, and we have our paddle. So we have two objects, they're called paddles. We have the one on the left and one on the right, so we're going to need to create a scratch object for each of those. Now I want to get out of this. Come on, get me out of here. I guess the way is to reload the page. Okay, so we're going to kind of recreate that setup. So I'm going to take our cat and close that out, and I'm going to make our stage black. I'll just keep it on bitmap for that sake. Now we're going to go to the cat, and we're going to make it a paddle. So we're going to completely delete the cat. I'm going to press this zoom in button a bit, and I'm going to go to well, first I'm going to make it black. Now I'm going to make it yellow, just so we can see it both on this side of the screen and on the main screen, on the stage over here. So I'm just going to make it what size I think it should be. And it's always a good idea to kind of generally have this center line up with this cross right here when you're making sprites. Okay, so now that looks good. I like it, so I'm going to make it white, even though it's going to be hard to see here. I'm going to fill the inside and fill the outside. Bam. Okay, so this is going to be a paddle. And I'm going to rename it here to player 1. Player 1. Okay. And we need two of those, so I'm going to right click, duplicate. Now we have player 2. Thankfully, it already named it for us. Now, which one is player 2? This one up here. So I'm going to move it over here, just kind of set it up how it goes. Oh, wait, I actually want player 1 on the left. Okay. There we go. Now on our stage, we should probably have zoom out that line in the middle. Yeah, now I kind of want this to be good, and I can't see. Yeah, I'm actually going to create a separate object for that line in the middle. I'm going to go to vector, I'm going to do line, I'm going to make it black so I can see it. I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to hold shift with my finger so it'll only make a vertical or horizontal line. And I'll go straight down. Grab my mouse tool, line it up, and see what that looks like. Okay, that's a line. Now, question is there an easy way to make a dotted line? There's no like line tool, so we would have to add the dots ourselves. Okay, I think I'm just gonna be happy with it just being a solid line. It's thin enough, and I'm going to, when the project starts, I want to move it to the 0, 0 position, which we should all know that 0, 0 is at the very center of the screen, and it moves positive this way, and that's positive x. It moves negative x this way, and then it moves positive y up, negative y down. So when I double click that, it goes to the center. And what else do we need? Okay, there was the score at the top, so we're gonna need to do something about that score. I'm not gonna make it stylized like the game. I'm just gonna use a variable. So I'm gonna do player 1 score. Okay, and I'm gonna have player 2. I'm gonna capitalize that. Doesn't matter. Player 2 score. Okay, now that I've got those two, I'm gonna position it right. This is player 2, so I can keep that on this side. If you double click on your variable, it will give it a different look. So you can have a slider where you can control it, and you can right click and change the slider minimum and maximum value. But I'm just going to double click on it and get it like this, because that looks pretty good. Okay, now that we've got that set up, I'm going to set up our paddles. So when we click, we want to go to a certain position. Now we want it to start at the center, so we're going to have our y equals 0. And then our x, we're going to do negative 200. So I'm just going to double click on that. So right there, I'm going to give it a little bit more space, so I'm going to do like minus 220. Excuse me, that's better. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. I'm going to drag this script into here, and that just copies it. Now I'm on player 2, except I need it to be positive. So I'm just going to backspace that negative sign, double click, and bam. Okay, so now they both start on opposite sides of the screen. We have this in the center, and it's all set up to look like Pong. We have essentially dissected the game. So, of course, what would be next is to actually make it work. But we have broken up all the components. We have gotten our sprites, we've gotten this score, and this line right here. And for the sake of example, I'm going to make player 2 controlled by our mouse. And that's going to be very simple. I'm going to set our Y position, which is up and down position, to our mouse's Y position, which is our mouse's up and down position. I'm going to press run, and now look at that. It follows our mouse, goes up and down, up and down, up and down, down, down. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And for I'm going to make this really simple. I'm not going to go into like artificial intelligence and all that. I'm just going to do change Y by I'm trying to think of what the best way to do is. That's kind of a lame... I mean, it could work, right? Yeah, whatever. Okay, so that's going to be the artificial intelligence. That's going to be the Pong, opponent Pong, which is really not that good. This just changes the Y position by a random positive or negative value. We could instead make it glide to a random position, which might be smarter. So we could do, what's the top Y? So that's 180. So I'm going to make that like 150 to minus 150. And 1 second's a little more, well, we'll see what it is. So now yeah, I think I like that better. But it does get faster and slower, which is the problem. See, it always takes 1 second. There's ways you can make it more complicated, but I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay. One thing we are missing is the actual Pong. The Pong. So, we're going to make our ball, but it's actually a box, so yeah. Okay, I'm just going to do color right now. I'm going to hold shift so it makes it a square. If I don't hold shift, then it makes it a rectangle. So hold shift to make it a square. Center it. I like that size, so I'm going to make it white on the inside and on the outline. Okay, cool. Now that we have our ball, we're going to, when we click, when we play, we want it to go to the very center of the screen, which is, again, 0, 0. Then we want it to, I'm just going to click on that, so now it's at the center of the screen. Then we want it to point in a random direction. Okay, now what we're going to do is, okay, I'm going to show you this for example. I can control the rotation of it here. Now notice how it spins. But if you look back at this game, it didn't actually spin. Even though it moved in different directions, like slightly up or slightly down, or like very strong, and it didn't rotate. So we don't want it to rotate. Now we can do this left-right thing, but you can still see it flip, kind of. So we're going to do this stable rotation, which means no matter which way it's pointing, it's always going to look the same. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to rename that to Pong. And rename this. Always rename stuff. Because you want to just be able to know what it is, because if you have to, especially with costumes, well, I mean, in this case, I only have one costume per item, which is okay. But if you're going to have a lot of costumes, you need to name them something so that you'll know what they are. Okay, so now we're going to go to our Pong. We are going to point in direction. We're going to pick a random direction. I'm just curious as to whether or not it accepts 360. Okay, this works. Okay, so from 0 to 360 degrees, we could do negative 180 to positive 180. Doesn't matter, as long as you're doing 360 degrees, because we all know that's how many are in a circle. So, forever. Now, let's see. We want it to do that at the very beginning, right? And then we want it to move. So that means it just moves in that direction. Bam, it moved. And we also want it, we have this if on edge bounce block, but that's not what we want. See, if we did that, then it would just go through our paddles, and it would bounce. I mean, it bounces off the screen nice, but we don't want it to bounce on these two sides. So what we need is, well, we need it to calculate the score. So I'm going to have two if blocks. I'm going to get these blocks out and then I'll explain what's happening. Okay, so okay, so if we are touching the, if our Pong ball is touching the edge and its X position, remember that's side to side, is less than, we're going to put our mouse all the way over here now. Now that number down here, right here, this where it says X, is 200 minus 240. I'm just going to change it to as long as it's less than minus 235. That way we have a slight differentiation. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to explain this first one first. Okay, so if we're touching the edge, which means we have to be on the outer rim of the screen, and our X position is less than minus 235. So that means it's only on this side of the screen. Only on this side, which means that's player 1. Player 2 needs to get a score, right? So change player 2 score by 1. Now at the beginning, we want to set both players' scores to 0, because nobody should start out with more than 1. So I'm going to press run, and that did not seem to work, so I think I need to change this number. Because when it's touching the edge, yeah. Okay, so we're going to do minus 220, which is the same position as the Pong, which makes oh, well, that's one interesting way for the ball to bounce. Okay, we get, really? Oh, you see, after it, okay, I have to explain this. So it says if on edge bounce, then that means it's actually going to be off the edge after it touches it. So we want to put this first. So if we're touching the edge, then we'll do the score thing, and then we'll bounce. We want it to bounce after that, so we can change this number back to that. And run that, and hopefully that works. Yep, our score went up. Now, went up again. Cool. Now we need to use this one to make the enemy score go up. So I'm just going to change that to a greater than, so it's on the other side of the screen, and make this a positive. And I'm going to duplicate this and make player 1 score go up by 1. So now as it just bounces back and forth, we should see each person's score going up. Maybe not. Okay. Now I have to figure out what's going on. Interesting. I will tell you, very interesting. I am intrigued. Okay, what? Huh. I'm gonna change this number. Because, okay, now it works. Okay, I think it has to do with the size of the sprite, which is 16 by 16, and it might not be at the exact center. So when it's touching the edge, the center, I don't know. The X position is actually not what it says. So yes, I know there's no button for like if touching left screen or right screen, but this works. You can see the score goes up. Now, of course, we want it to hit our paddles. So we need to do that. Okay, so now if touching, and we need an OR block. And we're going to duplicate this. So if we're touching, whoops. If our Pong ball is touching player 1 or player 2, then we should bounce. So there's no bounce block. So we're going to have to kind of cheat it a little bit. Trying to think the best way to do this. Okay, so we've got the direction it's going, and then it hits vertical surface, and it needs to change that direction. If it hits it this way, then it needs to go this way. I'm gonna make this way too complicated, aren't I? Okay, that's weird. Okay. Huh. Okay, so I'm gonna set this up to be kind of okay, so before I do that, I'm just gonna do turn 90 degrees, and we'll see what happens. I mean, that kind of works, right? Of course, he hasn't hit it yet. It kind of just bounces off. That looks pretty good, right? Of course, that didn't look so good, and he got 21 points from that. Okay, so you can use this if you want for simplicity's sake. I'm just going to set that right there. Or you can do it direction-based. So if the direction is less than 90 degrees, this is so weird about Scratch. So this is 90 degrees. This is 0 degrees. I'm going to go to 90, 180, and then this is also negative 180. So 0, negative 90, negative 180. So it starts with 0, and then it goes this way, like that, instead of regular geometry. So 0, 90. So if it's less than 90, that means we're looking at this portion of the circle. So if it's hitting it, we want it to work for the other. Oh my gosh. Okay. Why, Scratch? Why? Okay. Math. Why do I have to do this? Okay, fine. If the absolute value of the direction is less than 90, then we're going to do, it's going this way. We can turn 90 degrees that way. Otherwise, we're going to turn 90 degrees this way. And put that inside of there. Oh, whoops. Remember, before I just had 90. Let's see how that still doesn't do what I want it to do, does it? And then move 10 steps. Yeah, I actually think we need to make it turn based on the direction. Okay, so I'm not going to make this too complicated because I don't want people to be confused. I'm just going to leave it like this. There we have Pong. Now, of course, when it hits the edge and somebody gets a score, we want it to go back to the center. So we're also going to copy that. Oh, not just that. We're going to copy both when it goes to the center and when it points in a random direction. We're going to put that right here whenever somebody gets a score. And that didn't work. Okay, why? What would you... Don't you hate it when things don't work so... if touching the edge of... Why would you do that? Why would I do it like that? Okay, that's super weird. Super weird. Now it just stopped doing what it was doing. Huh. I don't understand. I'm gonna switch these back to 220. Wow. I'm sorry. That is... Sometimes things happen unexpectedly. But that's just... Okay, so there we go. Now once it hits the edge, it goes back to that center position, and I gave him 3 points. Oh snap. Wait, did it hit the edge and not do... Okay. And there we have Pong. A simple Pong. And he actually... Whoa, okay, there are glitches. But for the sake of example, that's what we have. Now let's see, what time are we at? 21 minutes, goodness. Did not expect it to take that long. Okay, so I'm going to cut the video here and we'll move on to the next game real quickly in the next video. I'm going to make a couple videos. You don't have to watch them all if you don't want to, but I highly recommend that you do. So thank you so much for watching. We made Pong. I'm going to rename this project Simple Pong. I'm going to post this project. I'm going to do Simple Pong YouTube demo. And you can get the link to it here and the YouTube video. That's basically it for this video. We just dissected the Pong game and recreated it. And we learned a bunch. We learned that we had to create a bunch of objects. We learned kind of had to think through how to make them move and the score. And yeah. So thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.